What's up, everybody? I hope you all have all had a happy holiday and a happy new year. So, we have this LS3 going in this 57 Chevrolet you see back here. This is coming out of a G8. It's going to be mated to this 4L80 that you see here on the ground. Now, as far as cars go, this is a lot of people's go to when they think of a mind's eye picture of a classic Chevrolet. And this is a hell of a starting place for this LS3 swap. It's a very solid vehicle. So, let's get into it. So, like I said, we have this 57, and it's pretty solid. Beautiful car. A lot of people fall in love with the lines of these vehicles, and the fact that this one's a two-door makes it pretty sought after. Not necessarily rare, but I'm definitely happy to not be working on a rust bucket, because I've seen some in pretty rough shape over the years. And this one, like I said earlier, is a very solid starting point. So let's get all this stuff inside. Okay, so we have the motor here and the vehicle. The next thing we're going to do is look over everything we have to remove. So in here sits a 327. It's made to a power glide. No, this isn't the original engine that came in here. The previous owner that had it before my customer stuck this in here to make the vehicle mobile. And currently it's using the horseshoe style engine mounts that mount on the front of the block and a makeshift transmission crossmember, which is pretty sturdy, but it's all got to come out. And we're going to need a new battery too, it looks like. So this is one of the horseshoe mounts. Now, I don't know if you can see, but that is the harmonic balancer, and that's the horseshoe mount bolted to the front of the block. This vehicle setup currently doesn't have what you would normally consider to be regularly placed mounts, which are on the side of the block, or a cross member for them to mount to. But to get this all out of here, we're going to have to remove this radiator and just try to move everything forward out the front. Now, there's no real hard part about this, just that some of these bolts you don't really know when the last time they were removed. So take your time, and like I said, we're going to get all this radiator shroud out of here and pull everything just forward out. The battery tray is probably going to come out, radiator is going to be coming out with the motor. Now, you guys just want to take your time when you're messing with stuff like this. Usually you don't know when these bolts were last removed. Some might be seized. If you're lucky, they won't be. I ended up running into a few that were kind of hard to get out, but after kind of going forward and back with my impact, I was able to get them to come out fairly easy. One, I ended up having to chisel off the head for it, and then was able to extract the bolt. So as you see, these front covers came off pretty easy. Some of these access bolts are in the fender well, but they're not too hard to get off. As you see here, I've gotten the radiator support off, and now I'm pretty much clearance to pull everything out from the front. This battery tray I'm hoping won't get in my way right now. I'm pretty sure it's going to get in the way when I put the LS in, but in the meantime, I'm trying to get everything out of here. And as you see, I have it kept as a complete unit to remove all as one assembly. So again, this is a 327. Now I'm going to remove these horseshoe mounts, remove all the distributor plug wires, anything that comes with power, remove power to the alternator, and all those cables and leads, and the battery cables and leads. And I'm going to undo the cross member and probably just end up taking a Sawzall to cut the exhaust further back so I could just remove it pretty easily without having to fit into the tight space to get those bolts. Here again is another view of this horseshoe mount. So basically, you have to go underneath the car and put a socket in here. And the issue I ran into is there was a lot of red clay buildup from where this vehicle originally was. And at first I thought that the bolt was rusted, but I ended up breaking those loose. And the cross member came out with 4 bolts. It was easy. And yeah, so I was able to get it floated up pretty high. And now it's also worrying about clearancing. See, the hinges on here didn't come with springs. So as you'll see, I have a piece of cedar wedged in there holding it up. And the number one thing to do when you don't have the ability to take off a hood, in this case this hood's pretty heavy and I'm by myself, is you want to make sure your chain is in as far as you can get it. and just watch everything. Pump it slowly at a time, back it out a little bit, pump it slowly, back it out a little bit, and it's probably going to work out just great for you. But the key is to just take your time. In this case, I wanted to have this engine assembly as one complete unit. That way I could just put it on a pallet for the customer to come pick it up. Then out we go. Now again, guys, this might have took me maybe 45 minutes of concerted effort. And like I said, with the exhaust, it saved me a lot of time just using that Sawzall and cutting it further back because he will be running a whole nother exhaust system on this vehicle. But I left him enough piping so he will not be able to have to replace all of it going back because the exhaust system did look fairly new that was on there. So with that being said, I am going to try to get this out of the way, put this on a pallet and have it tied down for the customer to pick up. If you guys want to avoid a big mess, I didn't drain this transmission, so I just put a bag over the end with some tape. But here is underneath the hood in the engine bay, and you can see it is caked with dirt. Just a complete mess. So I'm going to clean this up as best I can, and I'm also going to have to end up putting new mounts in there. So those are where the transmission crossmember mounts originally used to go, and these horseshoes are what were mounted to the front of the engine to keep it supported. So where you see these two rivets at, I'm going to have to grind those out and knock them out. And I'm going to use a speedway set that's basically going to move the motor mounts to over where the normal position for what most folks are familiar with, the side clamshell small block Chevrolet mounts, are going to go. So those rivets are going to come out of there. There's two more over on this side. And like I said, once I get those out, I'm probably going to install them with riv certs and then put a couple welds to hold them in place because I think that this engine is going to be, at least for this owner, the final one going in there. And here is everything as one assembly, as I said. Got it on the pallet. Customer is going to come pick it up. And it's a pretty clean unit for what the last owner put in there. There was no leaks. It's just a really solid little motor, and I'm pretty sure that the customer is going to want to put this in another one of his projects. I know he told me he has a C10 and a Nova that he might be wanting to just throw something in to get the chassis movable so he can get body work done to them. So this will be really helpful to have, so he won't have too much work to do. He can just throw this in there and have a reliable running unit. Here's the LS3 out of the G8 that's cammed already. That's going into the 57 Chevy. Now, as far as things to do, I'm going to clean this up a little bit, take off some accessories, and I'll be throwing it in with the mounts in the next one, you guys. See you then.